So this time it's called The Haunt, right? I mean, to be fair, that is pretty clever wordplay.
Star, we barely got through the games. What makes you think we can do this again?
Well, for one, it breaks the status quo, and for two, I want to see if they've improved at all. I mean, surely this whole thing can't be worse than the games, right?
Hi guys! Did you hear that pull of swords in the event?
What? So, here we are again. For those who haven't seen me before, I'm Starism, and that's Biddy. And ever since the hunt released back in March, I've made it a personal goal to 100% complete every Roblox event. So ever since RDC 2024, when David Baszucki teased that the next event would be Halloween, I prepared for the worst. Considering how the previous event, the games, was, to put it lightly, absolutely miserable. You had to collect 400 badges in total and it took me 3 days to do it. Not to mention everyone was only given 2 weeks to do the entire thing. Oh yeah, and the whole pick a team thing was rigged towards the red team. Primarily due to the fact that one of the largest YouTubers on the platform was on the red team. However, unlike the last 3 events, the hype for this one just wasn't there. An update had basically made leaks impossible. I mean, a full month before the event happened, we got the name of it, The Haunt. Then there was a sub-place created. And then Piggy and Tower Defense Simulator were rumored to be in the event. Then on October 8th, the entire event's description got leaked because they accidentally published it to Xbox. This time it's 1 week. Okay, this is both good and bad because at least I know this isn't gonna be as long as the last one, but at the same time, a week is still not a lot of time. But I've done it in like 1 to 3 days before, I should be good this time. Then, on the 9th, Roblox posted their first teaser for The Haunt. This event's hub would take place at the Oxbury Manor. We then get the background of the whole thing. The Headless Horseman has placed a curse on the manor. Then we get a moderately cool cinematic basically saying, oh no, the Headless Horseman's acting up. Then we get teased a costume contest? Okay, well it's probably not a major thing in the event. They're still reusing the same formula, right? 3 days ago, the countdown page. Okay, there have literally been no leaks for the event. What is going on? I mean, like, in terms of games, we basically have nothing. Okay, so the prizes are by UGC creators? I actually think that's a really cool way to branch out items. Although it does seem a bit considering how one of them is just hair. Voting prizes? Wait, what? Vote every day to earn free items? Is there no way to get prizes through badges? Is there even any point to getting badges? Or is the entire event just the costume contest? On top of that, this is just a popularity contest! What's a free-to-play player gonna do if they literally cannot buy anything from the catalog due to the cost? Are they even trying anymore? Okay, I have to calm down.
Well, I mean, at least we don't gotta complete everything this time. If none of the actual badges are linked to the event, then I don't really see a point in going.
You know what? If Roblox isn't gonna make the games involved, then I'm gonna make them involved myself! So who cares if none of the games give you prizes? I made a pledge to 100% every event, and I'm gonna do it. Even if I get nothing other than swag points for it. I mean, hell, the hub better be good. Otherwise, it's safe to say that this will be Roblox's worst event, period. Now it's time for that fateful day.
Well, I mean, I guess I'm ready to go then.
Prize or not, I'm always up for stimulation!
Really? Nobody else is gonna join in last minute? Going once, going twice. Alright, we're going as a trio.
What happened to those other guys anyway?
I wouldn't worry about it, although I do have a feeling that we're probably not gonna see them anytime soon. If both of them won't come back here for a Roblox event, I don't really know what will. But either way, even if I don't get a prize from the games, I'm still willing to complete it. It's showtime! And here we are! Welcome to the haunt! Unfortunately, though, the avatar items are only obtained by voting, as I mentioned. This alone completely ruins the event. But either way, I didn't go all this way just to take a few screenshots and vote on a few images. I do have to admit, though, the craftsmanship on this hub itself is incredible. This is probably the best hub in a Roblox event besides the classic. First of all, let's check out the voting system. You're given a set of 4 random images and are told to vote on one of them. Once you do that, you move on to the next set, and then you keep doing that until you get an item. That's the entire event. Well, minus the fact that you could take screenshots in said games in order to actually have people vote on them. There are also other exclusive items if you get in the top 50 and top 10% of screenshots. You can also upgrade these items for a 600 Robux bundle. Now, every day in this hub, a new minigame is unlocked, which gives you a new hub item. The minigame for day 1 is grave digging, yay! It's nothing special, all you do is just go ahead and dig up graves and hope you get a lantern, while 90% of the time you just get jump scared instead or find nothing. After a while, I did manage to find the lantern though. I can't rate this hub yet due to not everything being out yet, so I'll just go ahead and rank it at the end of the video. One issue for the other games though. Due to there not being implementation with actual rewards in the event, there aren't exactly specific things you have to do in each one of them. Which is why I'm making my own. Since all of these games have a Halloween event in place, I'm going to try out all of them and try to complete them. I'm also going to rate all of the games on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of difficulty and ranking, 10 being the hardest and or best. I may back out on some though. Our first game is Pull a Sword. Now, as you can probably guess from Pull a Sword, I did not have that great of a time. For one, you could get 25 times Halloween clicks by a $5 per month membership. You can also get stuff from the
Forever pack with OP items?
Starism, please don't tell me we're gonna give in to this.
Well, I mean, unless you want to spend 3 hours. Wait, I didn't even need to convince you to buy that?
Yeah, I'd rather be pay to win than to spend hours of my time here. Anything to be out of Pull a Sword quicker. So yeah, this event is incredibly pay to win with game passes, potions, the works. There were cutscenes, but they just felt drawn out a little bit. The main gameplay loop here is you getting enough strength to fight enemies to get keys to unlock houses, with AI generated assets. Everything gives you currency to purchase pets. And some methods can give you boosts in the main game too. However, all of the most overpowered items are locked behind the Forever pack. And I somehow got the best item from it. Even with all of that equipment though, it still took me an hour to get to the second to last area, which was beyond the gate. Getting past the second gate was my goal. Primarily because they wouldn't make you do the entire event for an actual Roblox event. If it took me an hour to get through that as a pay-to-win player, I can't imagine how long it would take for a free-to-play player. Especially since I had all the best stuff. This doesn't have a super high difficulty score because most of it is just auto-clicking, but it is super time-consuming. And extremely pay-to-win. The only reason I'm not giving this a 1 is because I kinda liked the decoration. But decoration can only get you so far. In terms of Doors' Halloween event, it's like, kinda there. In terms of the actual thing, it's just the base game, however, with candies. Now, candies have a variety of different effects, from giving you a bunch of walk speed at once, to shutting off all the lights, to spawning dread and instantly killing you. Yeah, it's a bit risky to eat it. The objective in this game for this event is to collect 100 candies. The catch is that everyone in your server counts towards this amount. So, you can be in and out in the span of only 15 minutes if you have a good enough party. If you have good enough RNG, that is. And if your party's good enough at collecting things. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to give this kind of a low score because they didn't really add anything besides that. I mean, granted, they probably weren't expecting to be in the event anyways. As a regular Doors game mode, it's kinda fun for its novelty, but this in general doesn't compare to what they did in the Hunt. It does make sense why they wouldn't put as much effort in, though. Now, it's kinda hard for me to gauge the actual difficulty of this event. The Halloween pets in general are incredibly overpowered in the main game, and you can access them at any point. Although I did have all of the endgame upgrades, I had to play this on my alternate account. The reason being, I already beat this event in the main account. It's mainly stuff like make a certain amount of golden pets, break a certain amount of breakables, hatch a certain amount of eggs, etc. There is a Halloween quest, however it takes way too long. Too long for a Roblox event anyways. So this time I set the goal to reaching the end of the Halloween event, similar to what they did in the Hunt. As for the actual gameplay, it's really just Pet Simulator. Get pets, break breakables, hatch eggs, etc. There's not really much iteration here in the event. There was pretty cool decoration though. Due to them not really changing up the concept a lot, I'm going to give this the same score as Doors. I'm not sure how long it would take for a free-to-play player to hatch all of those eggs, though. Although I doubt it would take too long for them. At most, my upgrades probably halved the time. Oh great, Toilet Tower Defense, my favorite game ever.
Skibbity Toilet!
Yeah, I know you like Skibbity Toilet, you told me enough times.
And they even have special Halloween towers!
Starism, I literally just spent over 1,000 Robux and pull a sword. You cannot make me buy anything else in these brain rot games. Now, my original goal was to go ahead and win the event one time. While there was a battle pass system, it felt too long to be a Roblox event, so I just settled with doing the event once. What I didn't know was that this event was so obviously pay to win that not even the Robux tower that I purchased a few events ago was able to stop everything, and I had to be carried. And even then, the boss had like 50 million health, so we couldn't even kill it. Even though we didn't complete it, I'm still going to dip out here because I feel like getting to the final boss itself is good enough considering how this already took like 20 minutes. I'm not giving this difficulty 10 because it might be easier if you have a bunch of pay-to-win towers. But if you're new to the game, this is basically impossible. Sorry. I would get behind it more if they made it more beginner-friendly, but that's just not happening with this game. Now, you're probably wondering, why is the music so intense right now? That's because we're in Pressure's Raveyard, where you almost have no time to breathe. While it's relatively short, averaging around 15 minutes a run, nearly every point in this is super intense. You immediately start out with a chase sequence. You only get around 3 hits until you're dead and have to revive too, which makes this super intense but short. It has full voice acting too. Everything is also super well modeled. After you escape the bouncers in the opening segment, you go into like the sewer area kinda. You're free from the bouncers for now, but now you have a giant skeleton monster to worry about. One that will bite you if caught. It's relatively easy to get through, however, if you're not on solid ground for a good while, they will catch up. If you've collected enough money, the only place you can heal up is this Club Spectrum place, where you can purchase drinks for health regeneration. After that, you're put in a section where you have to be in a dark area, which requires you to use your very short battery flashlight, which can be recharged by spamming right click. The enemies here are these giant stone monsters, and if there are enough of them on you, you're surely doomed. The final section is a mad dash to the tower. Oh yeah, and the bouncers from before, they're back. Now, at this point, I was super exhilarated because I was on 5 HP, meaning one more hit and I was done for, and I had already used a revive. Plus, they disable revives at this stage. After getting to the top of the tower, I pulled the switch and ended the Raveyard, meeting the status quo for this game. Now, this whole thing is extremely good but incredibly sad because they made this with the intent that people would have to play it. And they all got super mad when this entire thing turned out to be a big costume contest. I'll touch more on this later. With that being said, this is one of the best things in this event, hands down. Some people complain that it's just a whole lot of running, and while I kind of agree, the tense aspects of it make up for it, only costing it 1 point out of 10. Before we move on to the next batch of games, let's take a look at what Day 2 has to offer in the hub. This time we have a maze. There's not really much else to say about it other than, yeah, it's a maze. There are teleport portals and zombie bear things that slow you down. I want to talk about the actual event itself for a tiny bit though. Absolutely nobody, not even the developers of the participating games themselves, knew that this was only going to be a costume contest until the last minute. Pressure made the Raveyard specifically for the haunt, and now it's not even linked to any reward in the actual event. This entire costume contest thing would have been fine if it was marketed as its own thing, but it was marketed the exact same way as the other events we've seen. And to have all of the games not matter besides the photo shoot is pretty disappointing. Which is why I'm happy doing all of these games, bringing the events that people made to light. Without further ado then, let's move on with this event. Horse Life is one of those games where the end goal for the entire event is way too hard for a Roblox event, so I'm just going to do the first 2 quests due to the third one taking an absurd amount of time. The first objective was to tame 5 horses. I had enough materials for this due to the games and the hunt. Next, I needed to play 3 event minigames, in which I just went ahead and did this apple fishing minigame 3 times. It is kind of tricky with you actually having to have the apples in your circle when clicking on them. Plus, the cooldown kind of screws things over. Purchase 2 items from the event shop was super easily done with Robux, so I don't really like the pay to win there. And finally, level up any horse's skills 5 times. I just went ahead, ran around, and jumped the hurdles a bunch of times in order to complete this, since you get a pretty good amount of jump EXP via the hurdles. I'm unsure how hard it is to get the souls if you're a free-to-play player, but as for my personal experience, it wasn't really too hard. I am giving this slight points for actually making a minigame, albeit kinda decent at best. alongside some exclusive horses, which you do need to do the quest to unlock. Besides that, it was fine. Not too good, but hey, not miserable. Adopt Me is another game that has its quest way too hard for a Roblox event. The original quest was to find 40 hidden pumpkins around the map with no indication where they are. So instead of doing that, I opted to instead explore all of the Halloween content. I first tried out Cricket's Tile Hop, which was just the Tile Hop minigame from the classic except multiplayer, and it has multiple stages. After playing the game for 15 minutes, you can go to the Graveyard and knock over a gravestone for a crap ton of rewards in the main game. Unfortunately, to get multiple rolls, you do need to spend a lot of money, around 250 Robux to be exact, at least in Adopt Me currency. The last thing I checked out was the new minigame Where Bear, which was basically just murder mystery. I went ahead and hid in a room for a few minutes and eventually won. While I can't exactly give a difficulty for this due to not all of the pumpkins being found, I assume it would be super high. Either way, it's pretty obvious that they didn't exactly make this Halloween event for the haunt. And while I do appreciate the amount of content they put in, it's not exactly too engaging. It's mainly just grinding for items in the main game using the minigames. Now, Piggy is just on an entire league of its own. They released a new chapter for it, sure, but this is unlike anything else anyone has ever seen in Piggy itself. Instead of it being time-based, multiplayer, escape the player, or bot monster, it's an adventure.
Doesn't that go entirely against the round-based format of Piggy, though? Like, you're literally changing the fundamental concept of the game.
I get what you're saying, Biddy, but at the same time, this is actually really good for an event to change up the formula.
Okay, so it must not be as hard as actual Piggy chapters then, right? Star, how long did it take for you to complete this?
Almost 2 hours.
Oh my gosh, that was like double Bull of Swords time. What happened?
Well, for one, there are chase sequences that instantly kill you if you do so much as mess up once. The final section tricking you with a fake door in order to make you not go into the vent so it kills you. And the puzzles taking a crap ton of time to get back to where you died. But even then, I found this to be really well made. Even if not specifically made for a Roblox event, this was very high quality for an event. Or, well, not really an event, it just released around the same time. Either way, this is really good. I'm not giving it a super high difficulty because it's probably a lot easier with a guide. But either way, this is the one that took me the longest out of the entire event. It was still really well made though. Dress to Impress was cool, but very confusing for someone who doesn't understand the lore. For one, who's Lana? And why do we have to find her childhood home before dark? What is this dialogue? What do you mean in due time Mai is his? So apparently this Lana is leaving her parents because like she got poisoned by some guy or something, I guess? And now we have to pack her essential items, which for some reason include a nail file and a Greek tales book. Like, sure, yeah, that's definitely essential. There are 3 chapters to this whole thing, and I'm gonna do all 3 of them. This first one is kind of like the main game of Piggy, except without a timer. I'm just gonna say right now that the AI for the monster kinda sucks. It just waits for you. No matter how long you stand there, it'll go ahead and try and catch you. Thankfully, you get 6 hits before you're dead. Once we pack all of Lana's items, it's time to go. Except, apparently, we're in the past? I guess? This whole thing is really well made. It has full voice acting and custom artwork and animations, but like, I do not understand this lore. And now, for some reason, we're in like, a hospital? where an evil nurse is also trying to kill us? Here we have to find 6 map pieces. 90% of the rooms close in on themselves, but the ones that don't are actually rooms that have stuff in them. Most of the time containing a map piece. Once we do that, we go through a section that's totally not inspired by doors in any capacity whatsoever. And then we randomly meet this girl called Serena. So remember Lana from before? She's dead, and now that the blood moon is here, it's gonna eradicate her soul. And now there's an evil doppelganger Lena that's working with the guy that poisoned Lana. Then we gotta take a portal to the catacombs where the doppelgangers appear? What is even going on? The catacombs are just like a trap maze, except every 20 seconds the correct way lights up. The traps are kinda easy to avoid if you're paying attention. And now it's time for, I kid you not, a 4-minute unskippable cutscene. First of all, we meet Haley, who's apparently a podcaster who dabbles in paranormal affairs. One of her subscribers told her to go to these catacombs, where she died. Yeah, she's dead. Haley now warns us about the evil Lana doppelganger thing, I guess? And now apparently Lena isn't the doppelganger, and now there's an actual clone doppelganger Lana, I guess? And then we try and talk him out of it, because that definitely always works. Who the hell is Agamemnon? The king of Argos from ancient Greek mythology. What the hell is he doing here? So Lena goes ahead and calls upon the evil Agamemnon's power, and she goes through a minute-long transformation sequence. Then we get to the actual boss fight, which, I kid you not, is only 1 attack cycle. Consisting of multiple attacks, of course, but once she's vulnerable, she's done for. After that, she does the usual, how could I lose, please spare me master spiel, I guess. Lana's finally free, her soul goes on a vacation or something, or whatever. Agamemnon still's in the shadows, I guess, and he still wants her, or whatever. The event was good. I like the amount of effort they put into it, but that entire thing was just an experience of itself. Can the next game be not as confusing, please? Dress to Impress doesn't really have a goal with its event. For starters, I joined at the exact time where I managed to witness the spooky chord maze and lose it. I then went up to the front entrance and immediately got my badge for the event. The only badge for the event. However, I'm not just gonna take the badge and leave, I'm actually gonna explore this event. For starters, first thing we have is an acorn counting minigame. Not really too hard, and you get a decent amount of candy if you win, which I assume is used to purchase in-game items. There was a cleanup minigame to earn candy, but it's literally only just cleaning up leaves on the ground for candy. Not really investing, plus there's over 600 of them, so I'm not gonna scrape the leaves off the ground of a festival to get self-gratification. There was kind of a roller coaster-esque spinny ride, which I guess was a pretty cool novelty. They sold cotton candy, so I bought the one that looked like me the most. They had a pretty basic matching minigame too. There's nothing you can really do wrong with a matching minigame. But the main attraction here was actually the dark ride, which I found to be actually pretty cool for an event. It reminded me of the end of RB Battle Season 2 when you're in that roller coaster. Then I got put in a flying minigame, and that's about it for this game. While it wouldn't work under the circumstances of a normal Roblox event, it's pretty cool for what it is, honestly. It captures the feel of a festival pretty well. Keys: find 40 pumpkins across the maps. They're not in preset locations, they're all random, and it's all extremely easy. You can get 5 to 10 pumpkins per run, and you can server hop to join mid-round to get even more pumpkins. There was a Halloween map, And that's all I have to say about this game. Yeah, it's pretty obvious that they didn't really try with their haunt quest here. Not like it was worth it to make one anyway. 30 minutes in the video, and we are halfway through the event. It's day 3, and today's quest is looking through a bunch of mirrors trying to find an artifact. It took me like 2 minutes to find it. It wasn't really that hard. The worst that can happen is you getting jump scared. I'm not gonna waste your time by reiterating the point that this is all just a big costume contest. But so far, my opinion still stands. Not too many people even have their own dedicated quest for the haunt and just decide to shoehorn in their Halloween event. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Some of them are just not that suited for events. Enough of that though. Let's see if the second half of this event is any good. Yeah, I don't really have much to say about this one. While they do have a dedicated button for the haunt event, it's literally just an avatar creator. And the Direwick Festival itself is way too hard. Go into every map, spin the wheel 3 times, free 100 trapped souls. All of this seems like it's only for the dedicated Survive the Killer players and not the people only coming for the event. Which makes sense because the event button is only the avatar creator. So I'm going to treat that as a I instantly win 2 points for decoration, yada yada yada. Even if I did go through with the Direwick Festival, I don't really think I'd like walking around collecting 100 lanterns. That or just farming for tickets. I don't know, I don't really play this game unless I have to. I went ahead and did the obby on the default glove island to get to the minigame. Only 20 seconds left, huh? It must not take a long time. The minigame itself is a zombie survival game mode. Zombies will spawn on the island with your teammates and it's your job to knock them off for points. Survive 10 rounds to win the game. Also, if you have enough points, you can purchase an entirely random glove which will help you out a ton. There's no way to heal up though, so good luck. Unfortunately, my hammer isn't exactly well suited enough to deal with the boss zombie, so I did end up dying. Oh well, I can just come back, right? Well, actually, you have to wait up to 10 minutes on the island. Oh yeah, and the timer resets if no one's there. And there are only 3 slots, so if there are more than 3 people, then the spot's highly contested. And half the time, the timer doesn't even work! I tried server hopping for like 20 minutes before finally giving up. I would give this a higher score if it just wasn't so buggy with the timer. Better yet, remove the whole wait 10 minutes thing in general. Why is it even there to make teleporting interesting? It just doesn't make sense. Okay, Color or Die, another horror escape game, and it's just a battle pass system. And you can pay to win through it.
An exclusive Halloween skin? In this peak horror game?
Starism, I'm gonna level with you. I am never going to play this game again after this. But, for the sake of the video, I'm going to play through the entirety of Color or Die Chapter 1. The main gimmick of this horror game is that eventually you turn into different colors. While the monster is normally super hard to avoid, you can hide on the same wall as your color in order to make the monster not see you. This sounds like a super cool concept on paper, however, in execution, it's not very interesting. I mean, sure, there are breaks from normal gameplay to have like obby elements, but besides that, it's mainly just walking and finding things. Your goal is to collect 13 paintbrushes and solve puzzles along the way. And by puzzles, I mean finding one specific item in one location, then going to the next location. Despite what it looks like, this game is extremely linear. And they do not want you to win. I had to look up a guide to find out how to win. Especially considering if you miss one, you're kinda screwed. I did manage to complete the game by finding the final paint bucket though. I then chose one of 4 doors and got put in a chase sequence. Since I already got the badge, I think this is just a mini game for some currency that you get if you complete the game. Nothing required. But yeah, considering how they didn't really do anything besides just reskinning the game kinda, this is getting a low score from me. Especially since the game to begin with isn't really that good. Murder Mystery 2 made an exclusive Halloween game mode, this being the Vampires game mode. It's exactly the same as the normal game, except now you're in a 24-player server, and now there are 3 murderers and sheriffs. Oh yeah, and the murderers can fly, and there's only 1 map. My only goal was to get 5 kills, but it took me like an hour to get Vampire. Of course you can't see that, but for me, this was absolutely painful. I had to come back to it. Whether or not you have a good time here or not is entirely dependent on your RNG. Although there weren't really any other changes, so I'm giving this a semi-low score. Yeah, they made a new map and a slightly different game mode, but there's not really too much they added besides that, besides new cosmetics. I do not like a dusty trip. I decided to go solo because cooperating with people would be a nightmare. First of all, it takes 5 minutes to even start the car. This event consists of 3 boss battles, with you just trying to drive in a straight line in between them. The first area is a trick-or-treating town, where you go up to houses, ring doorbells, probably find an enemy, and then loot the house. Once you find enough houses though, then you find the witch. Bloxhilda is the first boss battle, consisting of mainly thorns, potions, new enemies, and then shooting her. This goes on for a few minutes until you finally deplete her health bar. Unfortunately, my car would not start no matter how hard I tried, so I had to restart my entire run because I was not walking all the way there. The next area was the house. I didn't even think to go in the house, so I just drove around it, but that was a massive mistake. Because then poison gas spawns, and by the time I realized it was too late and I ended up dying.
You know, I remember last time during the Classic, you had a lot of issues with a dusty trip.
Well, have you considered that this is a rage game? And if it's not, then it's incredibly hard, because one time I had a bunch of zombies pile up on me and instantly kill me!
And you had to spend Robux to get back where you were, or else you needed to restart?
Exactly, and I'm not forgiving this for being too hard for an event and not intended for it, because they'd probably make you do it if you had to do it for the haunt either way. The final boss is against the Headless Horseman, which is really just kind of a harder version of the Bloxhilda fight. And Bloxhilda from before is back, and she's actually helping me, primarily because the Horseman is taking her powers. After defeating the Horseman, you get the final badge. You can go for as far as you like, however no more adventures will pop up. Overall, this game was better than average, but still very, very hard and requires a lot of patience. Now, I actually had high hopes for Tower Defense Simulator, considering how in the Classic and the Hunt they were better than most other games. For one, this has lore, and it's easier to understand than the Return of the King of Argos. Basically, these guys want to rewrite history using a fake god cube, which I don't know exactly what it is, however I do know it probably has a lot of power. The event itself has 3 nights. However, only one released with the Haunt, which is what I'm doing. This quest has charming characters, their own animations, even voice acting again. The gameplay itself isn't exactly too hard as, you know, it's a tower defense game and you get a preset loadout that you get to choose. It's a cool touch that you actually get the towers regardless of if you've purchased them or not. You actually don't have an advantage if you've played the game before. That, I feel, is what every event should do. The only gripe I have with this quest is that tower defense games naturally have you wait a lot, but that's not something you can really change, so I'm not holding it against them too much. However, these developers 100% cooked, and that's why I'm giving them one of the highest scores for this event. And now we're at the final 5 games. First though, let's check out what the quest is in the hub for day 4. This time you grab a bat, go up to pumpkins and smash them and hope you get the artifact. You know, I'm kinda seeing a pattern with all of these. Go to a certain place, hope you get something, and if you don't, keep going to different places till you get it. I was kinda hoping they'd do something more unique. Hell, I'd even say that the games had better minigames for its hub. As boring as the minigames are, however, we still get the items, and these items will somehow help us later. Thankfully this time the reward is a big speed boost in the form of an item, which could help us get through the hub faster. Either way, let's stop stalling and get to the final 5 games. Surely nothing bad will happen, right? Now, this is one of the games that I'm certain wasn't intended for the haunt. The actual Halloween event started like 2 weeks ago, and you have to pay 100 Robux per quest to restore them. So I just found the current quest and decided to do that. We need to beat 20 Halloween mobs and 5 elite Halloween mobs. Only issue is that this was intended for people who already played the game a lot. Now me, who's only played this game for the events, wasn't very good at the game. Meaning I had to spend like 15 septillion revive hearts and healing items in order to make it so that I had a chance of beating them. And while I did manage to beat the normal Halloween mobs, the elite ones not only had special spawn conditions, but were incredibly hard to beat, and practically had to get carried through it. I can't give an accurate difficulty rating due to it being completely dependent on how good your pets are in the game. But it was cool that they made an exclusive Halloween event with its own world and enemies for it. I still don't really like how it's not beginner friendly though. Although I guess that wasn't really the point for it to be. Now, I didn't even get past the first segment of this one, because as far as I knew, there were like 5, and we were already struggling on the first one. For the first segment, my team had to find keys all around the map which unlocked safes. Problem is, there's no indication where the keys or safes are. And every key lines up to 1 safe each. Oh yeah, not to mention that there's a super fast monster that will kill you outside the safe zone. Fortunately, you have infinite lives for this segment, however, if you die, you do lose any items you have. And considering how a later section had a life system when I was struggling with infinite, it was not really worth going through. Besides, this is actually a remastered version of an old Halloween event that this game did. Meaning this probably wasn't even intended for the haunt in the first place. It's probably easier if you tag along with people who know what they're doing, but I don't really have that opportunity. It does look cool from the videos I've seen of it, so I'm giving it an average score. Blair is, great. It's just another one of those collect currency and then buy things kind of games. They also have like a witch challenge, however it requires that you have a certain level, so I don't think it's intended for the actual event. So I'm just gonna see what happens in the actual game.
Wait a minute, I've seen this before. This is Phasmophobia, right?
Yup, just when I thought I was done with indie game remakes. So it turns out that after talking to this really nice player, a normal round of this game takes like 45 minutes. And I wasn't really gonna do that for something that wasn't even required and was just a currency collection simulator for the event. The only reason I'm not giving this a 1 is because they actually have stuff you can purchase with the currency, but besides that, it's clearly obvious that they just kinda put the Halloween event here and add it to the haunt. The very least they could have done was like add a few new items or an exclusive mode, although I don't really know how that would work. Alright, Scary Sushi, don't let me down. Oh my god, it's just another pay-to-win battle pass system.
Well, if you want to get it done quicker, then you might as well buy
Starism, how about instead I just play the game and see what it's about? And if it takes too long, I'm just gonna leave.
But didn't you say you do all of the events?
I'm not gonna spend another hour playing a generic horror game for self-gratification. Especially considering this time there are no modifications to the game besides the candies. Anyways, the gameplay loop this time is simple. You're in a group interview for a chef position, you gotta go ahead and grab ingredients, but oh no, the janitor ain't feeling well, so you gotta avoid them. Are they a scary monster? Oh, who knows? It just gets so repetitive. Go to the room, collect the item, go back, hold a proximity prompt, make a meal, then go to the conveyor, then hold another proximity prompt, and do it again, and again, and again, and again. I assume it gets harder with more monsters, but I'm not gonna stay around to find out. Same deal with me only giving it a 2 because there are some exclusive cosmetics if you do this stuff. In Banana Eats, you enter a code. That's it. Just enter in code the haunt. You can also find the 13 pumpkins across every map, however, considering how that doesn't even have a badge for if you do it, I'm not gonna count that as a requirement. Besides, I don't want to do all of that for an unknown reward or one cosmetic in a game I'll never play again. In fact, I didn't even need to do any of this. I don't even know why I did those games if there's no reward for doing them. Whatever, I'm just gonna head back to the hub. Well, that's it. That's all the games. To say that this whole thing was underwhelming would be a massive understatement. I don't even have to do the whole, oh, I think this is the worst event thing. It is the worst event. I'm not even gonna ask whether the next one will be better because it will be. This is rock bottom. Unless Roblox somehow pulls out another costume contest, this is the worst event. But I mean, hey, we still have the final hub minigame, so let's check it out. Surprisingly enough, this is multiplayer. Maybe this could actually be good. Never mind, it's really just a glorified slideshow. I mean, at least it goes through the games that are involved, referencing the events from games like Pressure and Scary Sushi and the other ones. Eventually, though, you find the sunglasses, the final hub item. Apparently, with these sunglasses, you could actually reveal hidden messages with them. I mean, there's not really a use in hidden messages if you've already done everything. I mean, hey, might as well go to the shrine and see if there's anything there. The skull fragments will free him? I mean, I did see skull fragments around the hub, but I didn't think they really meant anything.
Hey Star, did you find something?
Go back to the house and take Starism with you.
Okay, if that's what you want. Hey Starism, we're going home, okay? No explanation.
Okay!
I swear to God if 1X is behind this. Of course someone was behind this. Granted, it was pretty obvious with the entire manor being owned by him. Then again, who knows, he could be controlled by 1X or something. Either way, I'm going to give this dude a piece of my mind. After getting through some very slight boss anticipation, it's time for the final showdown. To break the curse of Oxbury Manor and free everyone, I think. I don't know, there aren't really stakes here besides me wanting to kick this guy's butt. Now, show yourself.
Yes, it was me. I was the one who...
You did what? Make me play those games? With no reward?
You weren't supposed to do those, but yes, the curse is mine. I hid the skull fragment so I could gain power when free.
You mean the skull fragments that everybody got no matter if they found them or not?
No matter. Either way, you're the most persistent one I've seen.
Okay, 1x1, you're really doing a bad job about how you're hiding things.
Who's 1x1? In any case, your time has come. Prepare for the hardest boss battle in your... No! How can this be? I'm supposed to be unstoppable. I'm supposed to be invincible.
You know what? I'm done pretending. I'm done pretending you set up an actual event here because there isn't. And I'm also not gonna pretend that you're good at your job anymore. You copied 1x1's script almost word for word in your boss fight. Oh my god, your boss fight. Of all the things of someone who had their head chopped off's weaknesses to be, you wouldn't expect it to be dressing mannequins. Not to mention there were spots where you literally could not take damage. Oh, and let's not forget about the placeholder part, shall we? This entire event was a sick joke of a costume contest, which really just turned into a photography contest because no one submitted their avatars. I had to post Skippity Jonkler to even make it in the top 50%. When 1X made the games, I thought it couldn't get any lower than that. And for once, I gotta give the man credit, because at least he made an event! I'm leaving this stupid manor and never coming back. I hope you can live with yourself knowing you've created the biggest failure in Roblox history. Do you have anything to say for yourself?
Yeah, so do you want to pay the entrance fee in cash or credit? I'll give you a 10% discount for your trouble.
That entire thing was just meaningless. There was no point to any of that. The costume contest was a failure because nobody posted their avatars and instead just posted NPCs in the game. And the ones that were avatars were just the same thing. They didn't even have the bare minimum of making the games have some sort of reward. The least you could have done was like, I don't know, get an extra screenshot based on how many games you completed? Yeah, it's a stupid reward, but at least it gives the people a reason to play the games. They even screwed up the prize delivery with the zombie teddy head, which is supposed to be given to the top 50% of pictures, being given to everyone at the start of the event. All of the mini-games just boiled down to going to different places until you find the thing you need. Also, I take back what I said when I first got here. This hub is worse than the games. The games had better hub mini-games, and the games had a better boss fight. This entire fashion show, no, photography contest, was the worst Roblox event I've ever played and ever will play. I gained nothing from doing this. Furthermore, all of the developers made highly detailed quests specifically for this event, only to learn that people didn't need to do it in the first place. What does this say about how Roblox treats its developers? If even they wouldn't tell the developers what the event was about until the very last minute, then how can these developers trust Roblox in the future? Roblox isn't the one keeping the platform alive, it's the creators themselves. Roblox is just the engine. And if they specifically create good things for your event and you tell them that it doesn't even matter, that just betrays their trust. I bet that half the games that I ranked poorly earlier, or more, were bad because they only decided to join last minute and shoehorn in their Halloween event that they already made. And while that isn't always a bad thing, for example a tower defense simulator, that was great even though it probably wasn't intended for the haunt. a lot of the games that I did play had Halloween events only intended for veteran players of the game, else it wouldn't be so blatantly pay to win. At least, the only thing that's good about this event is that we know what the bottom line is. It's only up from here. I mean, if you screw up so badly that even your top star creators say that the event sucks, then you gotta improve, right? This event was a learning experience for everyone. The players, the developers, and even the multi-billion-dollar corporation. Although at least now, we can all confidently say this was Roblox's worst event. Now, I gotta head back home. I don't want Biddy thinking I died. Goodbye, Oxbury Manor. I'm not gonna miss you, and nobody will.
Welcome back, Star. What made it so that you needed us to leave?
Oh yeah, so I fought and killed the mansion's owner.
You did what?
Okay, look, it was totally justified, okay?
No, I'm happy. That event sucked. I mean, yeah, true, it was bad just as always, but I think I learned something from that. I learned to not be so scared of Roblox events anymore. Ironically, it was the Halloween event that made me realize it. I don't have to dread events like the plague or try and tap out midway through. Because if that was the scariest thing they came up with, then I'm not afraid of them anymore.
Well, that's really good to hear. I assume you didn't get scared from that either, Starism.
Yeah, the only good part was Skibbity Toilet.
Really? Because that kinda, I mean, that was great. I agree with you, yeah, 100%.
Glad to hear. Well, I'm gonna be heading out now. See you next time.
Well, here we are again. I might as well hang around the house for a bit and not do anything. That whole event took a lot out of me. For now, though, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time!
This is further, in order for this dimension to be solved, I must create a god